We'll start the session now. So, hi everyone, I'm Harshini here, a data science consultant at AlmaBetter. I'm here to present to you this masterclass on UPI, system design, transforming Indian infrastructure. Before we start the masterclass, I would like to tell you all a little bit about AlmaBetter. So AlmaBetter is a student-first edtech platform where we relentlessly work towards a better tomorrow for our students. So in this masterclass, we'll be learning about Unified Payments Interface, that is UPI, its significance, its system design, its challenges and considerations that we need to take care by scaling it up to accommodate India's massive user base. So these different things we'll be talking about and learning these things in this masterclass. So I would like to introduce you our esteemed instructor for today, that is Soumya Mishra. She's a Microsoft engineer. She's a software engineer at Microsoft. So I'll hand over the session to Soumya now. I hope you all have a stimulating learning experience through this masterclass. Over to you, ma'am. So thank you, everyone.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Arshini ma'am. Thank you very much for that introduction.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's session. Good evening, all of you. I hope everybody is doing great. And before we begin, a quick check if my audio is fine. I hope everybody can hear me. Okay, great. So throughout this session, you might feel that I'm seeing somewhere else, but I would be seeing at your chats. Okay, so I will be pinning your chat to the right-hand top corner so that I can see whatever you guys have concerns in. So whatever are your questions, do not wait for the end of the session. Okay, because mostly by the end of the session, end of any session, we lose the context, right, of your, like, from wherever you would be having your doubt. So please do not wait till end of the session to ask your questions. Wherever and whenever you're having questions, just ask it out, okay? So on that note, let's begin. So as mentioned, today's class is about system design of UPI, okay? So before we begin, kindly rate yourselves in UPI, everybody, 1 to 5, 1 being lowest, 5 being highest. So I ask this in all my classes so that, you know, I can deliver the lecture accordingly. Everybody kindly rate yourself in system design. Okay, we already have an answer. Okay. Keep the answers coming, folks. All right. So let's get started now. Okay. So I have got understanding of, you know, your level of system. So we will try to start from there. All right. So this is the agenda, what we will be covering in today's class. So first, we are going to talk about UPI timelines. Actually, even before that, we'll talk a little bit about UPI, okay? So then we'll talk about UPI timelines, how UPI came into existence, how has it evolved. Then we'll talk about features of UPI. All right. I'm sure all of you would be already knowing a lot about it, but yeah, we'll just discuss it. Then we'll talk about system design and its importance, okay? So this thing will not be specific to a UPI system design. This thing is a generic thing about system design, all right? So it can be extended to any system design that you would be doing, all right? And for the folks who have attended my previous lectures on system design of Book My Show or Google Map, you will realize that these things were covered over there also, okay? Specifically just about system design. Then the next thing we'll talk about is elements of system design. All right, then we'll talk about high-level system design, low-level system design. We will see the system design of UPI in both the scenarios, okay? Both the high-level design of UPI and low-level design of UPI. Then we'll see the technologies which is being used to build this UPI. In the end, there is a very interesting quiz, so please stay tuned. And yeah, then there will be this AlmaBetter program walkthrough and any questions that you would be having, okay? So this is the agenda. And let's get started. So before we talk about the timeline of UPI, can you tell me what is UPI? Anybody? What do you understand by UPI? When you hear the term UPI, I'm sure all of you would have used UPIs, right? What do you mean by it? Very good. Unified payment interface. Right. Okay. Why do you use it for, folks? Have you used UPI? And if you have used, why did you use it for? Correct. Transaction. Okay. So yes, UPI stands for Unified Payment Interface. Okay. Let's try to understand it as a concept. Okay. What is UPI in general? So I've told you the full form. Yes, it is Unified Payment Interface. But what do I mean by these terms? Unified payment interface. Okay. What is meant by all of this? So earlier, when we did not have UPI, how did you guys transact money? Anybody? How did you transact money before UPI came into existence? So UPI, I guess it was started, like we started using very heavily from 2016, 2017, right? Before that, what did you do? Correct. We did net banking, right? NEFT, RTGS, IMPS. There were a lot of things that we did before UPI. All right. So what did you do? So say this is my HDFC bank account. From my HDFC bank account, I want to send some money to my friend's ICICI bank account. Okay. So what were the things that were required? If you guys remember, what were few things which were required over here? If you want, say I want to send 100 rupees. What should I do? So this is pre-UPI era. Okay. Correct. Very good, Bhuvan. So yes, we needed a lot of things, right? So we needed account number, we needed the IFSC code, the account holder's name, the a lot of details, right? And if the transaction that you're doing that is international, it required a lot more details, right? So whenever we wanted to do any transaction, there was a form that we were filling, okay, that we need these, like, the bank needs these details. And we were filling this form, we were giving it to the bank. There was a whole lot, a very big process of adding a payee. After you have added a payee, I'm not sure how many of you have transacted using this, but we used to add a payee, wait for say 4 hours, 24 hours, depending on the bank. And then once the pay is verified, it has been 24 hours since you have added the pay, or 4 hours, however the case may be, only then you could transact. Okay, this was the earlier scenario. So this example I just gave when I was talking about transferring some fund from HDFC Bank to ICICI Bank. All right. Now consider there are so many banks, right? So say this is Bank One, HDFC, ICICI, Axis, SBI, blah blah. Okay, like there are so many banks, right? Now say every bank will have its own standard, right? So say HDFC says that no, we need this information. This bank will say that, okay, we need some other information. This bank will say we need some other information. Okay. So this was how the scenario was. So to standardize this, okay, do you understand what is meant by standardizing? Okay, yeah. So to standardize this process, Government of India came up with the concept of UPI. Okay, so what was UPI? UPI, we already discussed the full form. Now it will make more sense to you. Okay, so it is Unified Payment Interface. So what is meant by this? So unified because all of the banks, okay, all the different banks that were there, they came together, okay, they agreed to it. And interface is like, just, think of it like a medium, okay, between the user and the bank, there is a medium. Think of it like the interface, okay, that is what basically an interface means. So it was a unified payment interface, all right. So UPI came somewhere over here, okay, in between. Now users directly interacted with UPI, okay. So after the existence of UPI, users did not need the receiver's bank account details, Okay, the IFSC code, the registered name with the bank account, nothing like that was required. Virtual ID was created. Right now, we'll call it UPI ID. Okay, but that is actually VPA, right? Virtual payment address. So every user that was there, every user got assigned a virtual payment address. All right. And whenever you wanted to send any money to any of your friends, okay, so your friends would say your friends are on Google Pay or Phone Pay or any other application that supports UPI transaction. All you needed was their phone number. You add their phone number, okay, and then you hit enter. You put the amount, you put your UPI pin, and that is how easy the transactions became after UPI. Okay, the introduction of UPI. Is it clear, everybody? What is UPI technically? Not just the full form of it, but what does the full form mean? I hope everybody is clear. Anybody who did not understand UPI? Because before we dive deep into the system design of UPI, it is imperative that you understand what is UPI as a concept. Okay, it is not an app. Google Pay is not UPI. Okay, Google Pay uses UPI. Similarly, Phone Pay is not UPI. Phone Pay uses UPI. It works on the principle of UPI. Okay, it has been built on top of UPI. Okay, with silence, I assume that there aren't any questions. So let's move forward. Let's see the UPI timelines. So in 2009, so I hope everybody can see my screen, right? Okay. So in 2009, NPCI, okay, NPCI was formed. And have you guys heard this NPCI? Have you read about it? Or have you seen just this term anywhere? Anybody? Right. Where did you see it? Where did you see NPCI? National Payment Corporation of India. So whenever you register a number, right? Say you got a new mobile number and you have added it to your bank account, and then you want to register it on any platforms like Google Pay or anything, right? So you get a message, right, for verification. It comes from NPCI. All right. All of these details are maintained by NPCI. So National Payment Corporation of India was formed in 2009. Okay. And then in 2012, a 4-year vision. Okay. That they want an India in which there are paperless transactions. So back when we did not have UPI, every payment, every transaction that we did, that was a, like say you're going to a shop, you're buying something, you would pay cash. Okay. Hardly you would do net banking, like hardly you would go to a shop and do net banking, right? You won't do that. So you'll go to a shop, you'll pay cash. You're buying something, you'll pay cash, anything, right? So in 2012, RBI came up with this vision that in 4 years, we want to decrease the paper transactions that we have in our country. All right. And after 4 years, in 2016, UPI was launched. UPI, Unified Payment Interface, that was launched in 2016. And then in 2017, Beam, by 2017, Beam app, which is built on top of this, was heavily accepted. Okay. And people started using it. And as you can see over here, in 2019, UPI surpassed the milestone of 1 billion transactions per month. All right. So 1 billion transaction per month is a huge amount of transaction. Okay. So in 2019, just in like 3 years after being launched, it surpassed this benchmark. And now in 2023, there are so many people, external people outside India, like not individual people, but the countries and all, who want to extend UPI. Okay. Who want to extend this entire concept. They want to use it. Okay. They want to buy out from us. All right. So this is how UPI evolved. In 2009, where was it? And now in 14 years, you see where it has reached. Okay. So this is the entire timeline of UPI. Okay. Now, let's talk about features of UPI. All right. Now, before we talk about features of UPI, why don't you tell me what are the features of UPI that you have used? What are the features of UPI that you guys have used? Okay. Okay. What else? what are some of the features of the UPI that you like? Or let me put it like this, that why do you use UPI in the first place? I'm so sorry, Gaurav. I guess I missed your question. Is there any difference between VPA and UPI ID, or is it the same? It's totally same, Gaurav. VPA is virtual payment address, which is exactly same as UPI ID. Okay, for common public, we call it UPI ID. Correct. Quick transaction confirmation, quick and effortless transfer without account number and IFSC. Very good. Very good answers. So yes, these are some of the features of UPI. Okay. So if you remember earlier when there were these bank transfers which were done. So on bank holidays, you could not do money transfer if you wanted, right? So with UPI, what happened is that you could transfer 24/7. There was no issue if there was bank holiday or anything, right? Earlier, it required a lot of time to reflect the money that was transferred. But UPI works on IMPS, okay? It involves that concept. So now the money that has been transferred or credited, debited, whatever it is, it just reflects instantly, okay? Then all bank accounts can be accessed using single UPI app, right? So I'm not sure how many of you have added multiple bank accounts in the same UPI app, but I have. So I have like 3-4 bank accounts which I've linked in like to my Google Pay, right? So all of this has become very simple. Now consider in older times, okay, when you had 4 bank accounts of HDFC and you wanted to do net banking, all right, and in your mobile you can only have one app, one HDFC bank app, okay. So okay, now they have integrated a lot of bank account things and now it is possible. But previously it was very tiresome, okay, and it was a very tedious process. So now with this introduction of UPI, with the introduction of all these apps of UPI, all of this has become very seamless. All right, you can have n number of bank accounts, link all those accounts to one app. There's this one single point of interface where you can start using it, okay, where you can start accessing it. Now, sorry. Then there is no requirement of giving your ATM card detail, the bank account detail, IFSC detail, or whatever details were required. Nothing is required. All you need is a UPI ID. And with that UPI ID, everything, like, any transaction that you want to do, that can be done. All right. Then the next feature is neither the payee nor the beneficiary is required to share the bank details, right? So it is more safe. All right, your bank account number is not getting leaked, okay? Then payment can be made directly through the VPA. Again, like on similar line, the payment is directly done via VPA, which is virtual payment address. So you guys understand the concept of IP address? Anybody who doesn't understand the concept of IP address? Doesn't all right, I don't see a no, so I assume all of you understand what is IP address. So similarly, there is VPA for us human beings, okay, like there is one Aadhaar card number, right? Every person has one Aadhaar card number. So similarly, every person's account will be linked to a VPA, all right, the virtual payment address or UPI ID, whatever you call it. You can have multiple UPI IDs depending on the bank account in which you want to transfer. So according to those UPI IDs, payment can be done very easily, very seamlessly. Then another thing is that fund transfer, bill payment, whatever it is free of cost. Okay. I don't know again how many of you have done this, but earlier when UPI was not there, you wanted to do some transactions via net banking. So there was one charge that you were giving to the bank for net banking, okay, to enable net banking in your account. That was one charge that you were giving. And in addition to that, there were only limited number of free IMPS transfers that you could do. All right. So say you exceed that threshold. After that, you were asked to pay a little bit, right? I don't remember the exact figure, but we paid a little bit extra to do all the IMPS transactions. Okay. So that was how the model was back then. But with the introduction of UPI, everything is free of cost, right? You can do as many transactions as you can. Of course, there's a limit on, I guess the limit is 1 lakh or so on the amount that you can transfer in 24 hours, but there is no cost associated with it. All right. And then complaints can be raised via mobile app, right? So you have Phone Pay, you have Google Pay, whatever you use, right? They have got their own support. And say there was a fraudulent transaction or some transaction was there, it got debited, it didn't get credited in the beneficiary's account. It's very easy for you to just open the app, chat to the, representative and get it sorted. Okay. So these are features of UPI. I'm pretty sure that none of the features would be new for you, or if you would already be knowing this, because UPI has has entered our system so deeply that all of us are definitely using it almost every day. Okay. So now let's see some figures related to it. So according to this count in 2022, around 46% transactions were done, like 46% UPI transactions were done using PhonePe, 34% was done using Google Pay, 15% using Paytm, 1.5% using Amazon Pay, 0.05% using WhatsApp. And then there were others, right? So banking accounts, like the net banking apps also help you with UPI transfers. So maybe from there or any other app where you would be doing UPI transfer. Okay. Yeah, Jayesh, very good. UPI Lite is the new feature too, right? So we should have added it over here. But yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the count. Okay, these are the metrics that you have, right? So this is not latest. This is as of 2022, but yeah, pretty much new. Okay. Now, how UPI works. I'll briefly go through this. Okay, we will quickly cover this point because this isn't anything new. You guys have already done the transfer. You have used the UPI app. So I'm pretty sure that you would be knowing about it. So what you do is that first you download the app. Okay, you go to Play Store, you'll be downloading your app, whatever UPI app you want to use. You connect your bank account, right? You add your bank account, you activate your bank account. With that, virtual ID is created. You call it virtual ID, you call it UPI ID, you call it VPA or virtual payment address. All of that is same. Okay. So in today's lecture, if I use these terms interchangeably, so do not get confused. All of these mean the same thing. Okay, then once you have created your virtual ID, you can share it with your friends that, if you want to ask money from them. So just share it with people from where you want to take money. They can just use that. They can transfer money. Fund transfers can be initiated. And this is how entire UPI works. And as I said, we'll just go very quickly through this slide because there is nothing new to be discussed over here. Okay. Now, so the next slide is about system design. So before we move to it, any questions that you would be having related to UPI? Let me give you a couple of minutes over here. Reiterate whatever we have discussed. Let me know what are your questions related to whatever we have discussed till now. Any questions? Yes, Drishti. So it's not actually, it doesn't depend on each bank. Okay. It basically depends on each account. Okay. So say with HDFC Bank, you have got 5 accounts. So there will be 5 VPAs for those 5 accounts, right? So try adding multiple accounts if you have, okay. Try adding multiple accounts to a API, to any UPI app. And then you will realize that different UPI IDs are created for every account that you add. Okay. So the VPA that is there or ID, it is basically associated with the account. Okay. Any other question related to whatever we have discussed till now? UPI is a government entity. It was built by Government of India. Okay. It isn't a private entity. It came into existence to standardize these private entities that were there, right? These private banks, public banks, the different processes which were there for them to transfer money. So to standardize that, Government of India took this very great step of coming up with UPI. Okay. Roman has a question. Why there's a limit for UPI transactions or amount per day? I am not, like, I do not know, to be very honest, I do not know what is the exact reason behind it. But what I can think of is that if you talk about from a technical point of view, so the system that has been built, actually this entire UPI system has got a single point of failure, which is the NPCI, which I talked about, right? So we'll talk again about NPCI in some time. But it has basically, the entire system has got a single point of failure, which is your NPCI, okay, National Payment Corporation of India. Now, say if their server fails or whatever it is, every server that you have, it has got a limit on, the transactions that it can handle. So maybe they have put a cap on the transaction because of this. There could be another reason for, like, say, for security reasons. Somebody hacked your account and you have, say, 10 lakhs in your account. And if there was no transaction, they would have swept off the entire money from your account. Okay. But because there is a cap on the UPI transaction, that you say your phone got hacked or you lost your phone, whatever. Okay. And the UPI pin somehow got hacked. So I think, like, this is what I think. I do not know, to be very honest, that what is the exact reason behind putting this cap. Okay. There's another question. How many UPI IDs can I have for one bank account? There are different banks, Ninad. So say there'll be YBL, or there will be OKHDFC. Like, there is an extension, right, after your ID, @ OKHDFC, OKICI. So I don't know exactly the exact number of UPI ID that you can have for one account. Okay, so I do not know about it, but yeah, there are multiple. Okay. Then there's a question that, it's a good question, I think. So anyone can integrate the UPI to create UPI API to create payment app like Paytm, PhonePe. Yeah, Jayesh. So it's not like anybody as a person can just use their API. Okay, so this is not a public API. The UPI API, which is there, the entire system, it is not something public. I do not know about the intricacies of the system, but I'm sure there would be a long process. And even if you have got the access, there would be so much of authentication and authorization, everything that would be happening under the hood. Okay. But yes, to answer your question in brief, yes, say PhonePe came into existence, it was not there, right? And they thought that, okay, a new technology has come, UPI, we want to build something around that. So they built an entire app around that. They added that feature of bill payment, everything, okay, mobile recharge using that. So basically, entities can use it, okay? Bhuvan has a question. If we want to build an app which gives UPI services, what procedures we need to go on? Bhuvan, I'm not sure about what procedure you need to go. You can Google about it. Okay. I'm sure there would be a lot of documentation available, but I don't think so that it will be that easy. You will need a payment gateway. There are a lot of things that need to be configured. Okay. As to what I know, that integrating UPI into a single person's application is not very easy. But if you want to have payments in your application, you can use payment gateways that are there. PayU Money is there. A lot of them are there. Okay. Any other question? Okay, let's get started. So with this, I'm sure everybody's clear of what is a UPI. Okay, what are different features of it? How has it evolved? And you have got some understanding of it. Okay, that why did it come into existence? How did it come into existence? Okay. Now let's talk about system design. Have you heard this term system design before? If yes, what do you mean by it? What do you mean by system design? What do you mean by system design, guys? Okay, no worries. So system design is, so let's break the thing, okay, into two parts. So when we talk about system design of any app, okay, Google Maps, Gmail, YouTube, WhatsApp, any app, okay. System design, okay. So first, let us try to understand what is a system, and then we'll take this term design, okay. So any environment, any app, any entity that you have, okay, it can be called as a system. So for example, if I talk about e-com systems, okay, So there is Amazon, there is Flipkart, and so on, right? Myntra, Meesho, whatever. There's so many systems, right? So if we say about normal, okay, social media systems. So you have got WhatsApp, you have got Instagram. Okay, not naming everything over here, but you get what is a system, right? I hope everybody gets what is a system. See, the definition says that system is a group of interconnected components working together to achieve a common purpose. All right. Let's take example of Amazon. Amazon not as a company, but Amazon as an e-commerce site. Okay. So this Amazon that you see over here, that here is a search bar, here are some tiles of product recommendations that would be there, whatever. Okay. This thing that you see, it would be having n number of components. Okay. Maybe this search thing, it would be a totally different component. Okay. It would be its own individual component, the search bar. These product catalogs that you are seeing, that could be a component. Your order history, that could be an entire app, or let's call it component for now. The entire, authentication authorization mechanism, that could be an entire component, right? Anybody cannot log into your Amazon account and buy things from it, right? You cannot do that. So there is entire system, there is entire component for to handle this, the authentication and authorization part. Then say you have ordered something and then you want to pay. You give your credit card details, you give your debit card details. There's an entire component which takes care of that payment thing that happens, right? Verifying that the details given by you is correct, verifying or, getting it verified by the bank that you have the amount of money that you are being, or that you are giving it to, asking to debit and all of that. Okay. That is one entire system. There is a customer support section, which is there. That is one entire component. Okay. So if you see the example of Amazon's e-commerce app, so can I say that it is nothing but a lot of components which have been designed independently, or a lot of components which are just working together towards a common purpose, right? What is the purpose? That they should have a very good platform, and using that platform, it should be very easy for users to buy things, to sell, and for sellers to sell things. Does that make sense, what I just said? Everybody clear what is the system? Right? Now, what is system design? Okay. Designing the system is what is system design. Okay. So I do not have any simpler word or more implicit word for design. Design is just design. Okay. So when you or a company comes up with the design of the system that you want to create, that is what is system design. Okay. So basically you are identifying that what all components are going to be there. So right now I told you, right, that there could be a payment component, which a component that would be handling the payment things that would be happening, or a component that would be taking care of authorization thing, order history, okay, product details, product catalog, reviews. There's so many things which are there, right? Entity which is keeping track of, when was the product order placed, is the shipment happening properly or not. So all of these components which are there, they would have been designed. The interconnection, or how these components are going to talk to each other, how are they going to seamlessly work together to give user a unified experience. All of this, everything, okay, this comes under system design. Clear, everybody? Now let's revisit the definition again, and I hope this time it will make more sense to you. So what the definition says is that system design is a group of interconnected, like what is system? Sorry, system is a group of interconnected components working together to achieve a common purpose. Okay. And when you create such system, like not when I say create, I don't mean that you have coded every single thing, and no, not like that. Okay. When say at least you have planned it, okay, and you know what algorithms you're going to use, what data structure you're going to use, everything of that sort is planned out together, it's laid out, it's verified. That is what is called designing a system. All right. Now, example of system like online e-commerce platforms, Amazon, Flipkart. ride booking platforms, Ola, Uber, digital payment wallets, Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm wallet, and all of those details. Okay. Now, what is system design? The process of defining the architecture, the component, the module, the interface, and data for a system to meet end user requirement. That is what is system design. Okay. So this is what we will be doing in today's class. We will see UPI's system design. Okay, that what are the different components of UPI? How does it work? The way it works. What technology does UPI use? All right, to be what it is now. So yeah, now importance of system design. Why is system designing important? Okay, so when you want to, so say you're working in a company, okay, or you own a company, and there's a customer. The customer comes up with a requirement that we need this thing. Okay, so what we are going to do, what it actually happens over here is that you just cannot ask your engineers to go and start coding. You cannot do that, right? You need to make sure, like you need to, when you do system design, what you will do is that you will understand that, okay, what are systems requirement or what are users requirement? To fulfill those requirements, how am I going to build this system? Okay, so system design becomes very important when you specifically want to meet requirements. Otherwise, you'll just hear the requirement, okay, and everybody starts building on their own. They start building according to themselves. That is not how you meet requirement. Okay, so this is one very big importance of system design, that if you do system design, it becomes very easy for you to meet the requirements what are there. Okay, then again, it becomes easy for you to optimize the resource. So say you do not think that say you have not done system design. Okay, you just start with coding, you start with development. There is one component which took say 5 MB of memory. Okay, and whatever. Okay, there is some other component that took 10x MB of memory, whatever. All right, so because there is a engineer who is developing this component, there is another engineer who is developing this component, they are not in sync with each other. These two can actually end up consuming the entire of your entire resources. All right, and say maybe this component is not very important. Okay, it is not a critical component. So for example, if we take the example of Google Pay. Okay, if I talk about a critical, like say if I talk about a non-critical component, the display picture of the person that you are sending, that is kind of a non-critical component, right? The UPI ID is a critical component. That's the most critical component. So say for a non-critical kind of component, that component is consuming maximum amount of your resources. All right, and because of that, the critical components do not get the resources that are required and your entire system crashes. All right, this is what happens if you start developing and you have not done system design. On the other hand, if you would have done system design, so you would have clearly defined what all components you're going to have. Okay, you would have clearly defined how those components are going to interact with each other. Okay, you could have identified the resources that can be shared among the components. Okay, so say this person made its own local cache, this person made its own local cache. Okay, no. Okay, but if you would have done system design, you could have thought that, okay, local cache, maybe it can be shared. Every component can use local cache among themselves. So yeah, this is what this second point means, that with system design, it helps you to optimize resource. Okay, because you don't begin with development right away. You get a higher level picture of how the entire system is going to look like, how the entire system is going to work. And after that is when you start with the development. Okay. Now, the third thing is there, ensure interoperability. Okay, what does interoperability mean? Basically, there's a component this one and C1, and there's another component C2. They should be able to operate with each other. Okay, there's some operation which needs both the components, so it should be easily done. Okay, it should be possible to do, and it can only be possible when you do system design beforehand. Okay, so you do not do system design, you are developing your components independently. Okay, and at the time of integration, maybe you realize that, oh, okay, this component cannot work with this component because the data that this component, okay, there is component C1, there is component C2, okay, and you realize that the entire data that component C2 requires from component C1 is not sending it, right? So they cannot work together. This is what interoperability means, that ensuring different components of the system seamlessly work together by defining clear interfaces, okay, clear protocols. Now, the next thing is there, it reduces the risk, okay? So because you have designed the system beforehand, okay, you would be knowing that, or it would be clear, or it would be easy for you to identify the risk that can be there in your system, okay? So for example, to simplify this, let's consider a dress designer, okay? So how do dress designers or designers in general, how do they build the dress? How do they make it? Does anybody know? What is the first step that they do? Any designer from any boutique, anywhere, okay? How do they make a dress? What is the first step that they do? Very good, right? That is very good, Drishti. It's the blueprint, right? So basically, on a piece of paper, they would be coming up with the design of, I'm sorry, my drawing is really bad, but I hope you get it, right? So basically on a piece of paper, they first come up with the design, that this is how their design is going to look like, okay? Depending on this, they, so say, first what they do is that on a piece of paper, okay, design on paper, according to the design, you need to finalize your color, okay? Then according to that, choose your fabric, and then start stitching, right? You do not, like, not you, but the designers do not start stitching right away. This is how they follow, right? Similar is with software, okay? So first, when I say design on paper, so it is not hard paper. You can, like, it can be a whiteboard, anywhere, okay? You basically first we design the system. How are our components going to look like, okay? Then say the designer did not design it on paper, okay? The designer just thought that, okay, maybe I'll take 5 meter of cloth 1, 10 meter of cloth 2, and 3 meter of cloth 3. So do you think that, and then say the designer has bought the cloth first and then starts designing or then starts stitching. So do you think that it can happen that maybe this cloth is like, extra cloth is left, or you you fall short of this cloth, okay? Things like this can happen. Now, same thing. Think about the same thing in terms of a software. Okay, if you do not design it, something can be short of, something can be excess, okay? It cannot be optimized. Now, say for a dress, if say some entire dress is there, okay? If this is a tricky part, if this is a delicate part of a dress, the designer will try to make it robust, okay? The designer will try to use a thicker material cloth over there so that, it doesn't get ripped or anything like that, okay? So because of this, because the design was done before, the designer would be having some idea of points of failures that could be there in the design, okay? Same in the case of software, that when you design a software, sorry, when you do system design of anything, okay, it reduces the risk, because while system design, it becomes very easy for you to identify that what are the risks associated with your system, what are the different failures that your system can come across, okay? Then of course, because you have designed it properly, so because of system design, it becomes very easy for you to, maintain and upgrade, okay? I hope the importance of system design is clear to everybody. Any questions till here? Let's wait for a couple of minutes for questions. Any questions? Any questions, anybody? Guys, please feel free to ask whatever questions you would be having. All right, no problem. Okay, there's a question when this has to be taken. By a question, I assume that you are asking that when system design needs to be done. Okay, in SDLC. Okay. So see, when you talk about SDLC, the first step is requirement gathering, right? Once you have gathered the requirement, you will do a feasibility study. And once you have done the feasibility study, there is a design phase which happens, okay? And then after design, there is code. Let me just write it, okay? Let me just write it. Requirement. This is the first step, right? You gather the requirement. Then we do the feasibility study or feasibility check, whether this thing is feasible or not, okay? Then there is a design phase. There is a coding phase, okay? There is a deployment phase. There is a testing phase, right? This is how our software development lifecycle looks like. So this is the stage where you are going to do your system design. If you do your system design over here, this part becomes very easy and this entire software becomes very reliable and very robust, okay? Jayesh, a very good question that who is responsible for system design, okay? Any, I don't want to call it an engineer, okay? Any person working with the system is responsible for system design, okay? So how it happens in, or how I have experienced is that in an organization, the senior team members, they would be doing the system design. And of course, you can be there, you can shadow them while system design is being done. They design the system, they validate it, they give it to juniors for development, okay? Or in a lot of projects, the juniors are also asked to do the system design, okay? So anybody who is contributing in a project, they will be doing the system design. Say, when you work in an enterprise for an enterprise level project, it's not like one person will be developing the entire application, okay? There's an entire team behind it. So entire team sits together, they come up with a, so when I say system design, I do not mean the UI design, okay? I do not mean the front end design. Where the button is going to be, what is the color of the button? I do not mean that. I mean the component design, okay? So entire team is going to sit together. Then they're going to discuss that, what are the different pros and cons? What if we do it like this? What if we do it like that? Okay, there's so many system design patterns that can be used. So yeah, that is how it is done. I hope I've answered that question. All right, great. Any other question? Guys, please ask away what if you have any questions at all, or even if you want me to repeat anything. No, Bhuvan, it's not UI UX designing. So just because you have brought this point, let me just slightly elaborate on that. So when I say UI UX design, okay, so let's take the example of this whiteboard, okay, which you're seeing right over here. So the UI UX would constitute key, okay, the sign up button should be over here. The color of the button should be like this. The font should be like this. The font color should be like this. The padding should be like this. The margin should be this much, whatever, okay. And then they will say that, okay, just a second. Yeah. So then in UI designing, it will be like, okay, on the left-hand side, we want a toolbar kind of thing, right? Where there can be tools which can help you with whiteboard. And over here on the left-hand top corner, there should be, the name of the application and a link to share the whiteboard with you. On the right-hand top corner, there should be this thing to, create account, sign in, and all of that, okay? This is what comes under UI UX designing, okay? Basically, so say UI and UX is not same. That is a totally different discussion and is not apt for this session. UI is user interface, UX is user experience. Okay, both of them are not independent of each other, but it's not same. Okay, so basically, let's call it the front end designers. Okay, so they decide this thing. Okay, this is what is UI UX design. But system design is very different from this. System design is that in this web whiteboard, okay, this application that I'm using, it would be having different components. Can you guess what all components would be there? Can anybody guess it for me? Can anybody guess this for me? What are the different components that would be here in the system? Guys, please feel free to answer. Nobody is judging you over here. What are the different components that you see in this system that I've just opened? It is a very simple online whiteboard. What are the different components that you can see over here? Correct. Tools. This is one component, right? If I click on sign up, entire this thing is going to come. This is another component, right? If I click on share, this thing is another component, right? The link generation, all of this. And different things, right? So there's a feedback thing over here, right? If I write something, if I hit enter, the feedback is going to reach this company. So these are different components. So what your different components are going to be, how are they going to talk to each other? This is what comes under system design, okay? And UI UX design is how your system is going to look to the user. Okay, what are the colors? What are the padding, margin, all of those things, okay? The text that is going to be there, the height, the width, the boldness, the weight, whatever, okay? That is what it is, okay? Now, the next question is, and do we upgrade system design as we face complex problem while moving forward with this project? Of course, you need to upgrade the system design. So it has happened a lot of times that say somebody came up with a very sweet system, okay? A very sweet system that, okay, you have got one server and there is a client. Okay, the client is basically user is requesting data from server. Okay, this client is also requesting data from server, and server can send data back to client. Okay, this is a very good system, and it seems like you don't see any problem in this, right? You don't see any problem in this. But say, and you did the system design. Okay, of course, system design won't be this simple. There would be a lot of interfaces, right? So you would be doing key, okay, there's a client, there would be a load balancer, there would be different servers, keeping all of that aside. So you designed a system, okay, that there is component one, there is component two, this will talk to this will give data from here, this will talk to another component, it will give data here, this will inform this component, and so on. This is a system that you have designed. Now say there is a hacker, okay, some hacking system. There is a hacker. The hacker starts sending 1 million requests per second, okay, 1 million requests. It's a very big number. Hacker starts sending 1 million requests per second. What will happen? What will happen to your system? If a hacker, correct, very good, Drishti, your system is going to crash, okay? Now, when you design the system, your app was a very small app, okay? It was a very private app, which you just built it for you and your friends. Now, your app became very viral, all right? And it was just all over, like, it was just everywhere, okay? Everybody was talking about it. Now it will attract hackers, okay? So this design that you created, that was good for when you had created, right? But say later, when you became very popular and this entire system became very popular, it attracted the eyes of hackers, and then your system can come down, right? It can totally crash with this scenario. So what do? You upgrade your system. So what you'll say, okay, I'll put a rate limiter over here, okay? So basically, what is a rate limiter? That it won't allow somebody to send so many requests, okay? It will throttle the request, okay? So say there is a hacker, the hacker tries to send 1 million requests, but because of this rate limiter, all the 1 million requests are not going to go to the server. And this hacker or this IP can also be blocked for some time so that same thing is not done. So to answer your question, Jayesh, yes, we upgrade it. We upgrade the system from time to time, because from time to time you get to know about new problems. New problems require new solution. So system design, once you design a system, it's not set to stone. You can change it, you can upgrade it. Okay. Saidin has a question: what to input and what to expect output? So do you mean input and output of a system design? Saidin, do you mean input and output of a system design? Okay. Got it. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions from anybody? Okay, great. Okay. Now let's keep moving. So steps to follow when you do a system design. Okay, again, these steps are not related, or see, these steps are not specific to UPI system design. The same step can be extended to any system design that you would be doing. Okay, I'm saying it again and again because this is the truth. All right. So the first thing is that you have to understand the requirement. Okay, if you have not understood the requirement well, do you think you will ever be able to create a system that can, say, satisfy users? Say user requires something else, you built something else because you were not able to understand the requirement. It won't be a failure on user's side. Okay, users will be ambiguous. Users will not be clear. It is your responsibility to ask clarifying questions to understand the requirement. Okay. In fact, the system design interviews also, which you would be giving, okay, a lot of these product companies have a dedicated system design interview. It's not like they will ask you 1-2 questions of system design in any interview. There's a proper 1 hour, 1.5 hour interview, which they set. And in that 1.5 hour, they ask you to design one system, okay, like one complete system you have to design. So they will be like your users, okay, they will give you ambiguous requirement. And you need to ask clarifying questions so that you can understand what the requirement is, okay? So yeah, this is the thing when you do system design for enterprise as well, that the very first step is that you have to understand the requirement. Okay. The next step is that to identify major component. Let's consider UPI only for this matter. So, okay, we understood that the main requirement of UPI is that there should be fund transfer. All right. There shouldn't be any requirement of bank account details. Okay. There shouldn't be any requirement of adding a P and waiting for some X amount of time. We have understood the requirement. Now, what are going to be my major component? Okay, so one major component is going to be my authorization and authentication component. Another component is going to be a component that's going to talk to the beneficiaries bank. Another component is going to talk to remitters bank. All right, I have identified different components. So this is what is meant by identifying major components. Now choosing appropriate technology, that what kind of hardware do you want to use, what kind of memory do you want to use, okay, what software you will be using, what database, what language will you be using. All right. So let me give you a very small example. Like this is one of my favorite examples, okay, when I give. So this is Facebook. This is the web page of Facebook. Here you have Facebook written. Over here, there is an active user list. Do you see this? Over here, you'll see all the users that are active. I hope you guys have seen this. There's an active user list, right? Now, this list keeps changing. Sometimes somebody will come online, somebody will go offline, somebody new will come online. Okay, a lot of people will go offline. This list keeps changing. Now, if this entire application would have been built on core HTML, CSS, JavaScript, with everything or with every user coming online, every user coming offline, this entire page would have reloaded because some changes happen on the system. Okay, but do you see this now? Do you see this now? Does the entire page reload or only that component refreshes? the entire page never refreshes, right? Unless and until you explicitly refresh it, or somebody has posted something and you want to see it, right? Now, how is this possible? Anybody? How is this possible? Good. Okay, so basically what happens is that Facebook, so this I'll answer in a very layman term, okay? There is a technology called React, and Facebook uses React, or Facebook has used React to build their social networking site, okay? And what React does is that it will help you with these things, okay? That only that thing is going to refresh whatever has changed. Your entire app is not going to refresh, okay? So how was Facebook able to decide that they should use this technology? Because they were clear about the requirement. They understood that what is the requirement that we are trying to meet. They understood that they are going to have a component of active users, which is going to actively change. All right. And because it is changing, you do not want to change, or you do not want to refresh the entire web page, right? A lot of things would be constant. And with that, they identified that, this is my requirement. These are the components that are going to be there. This is how the component is going to behave. And with this, they identified the appropriate technology. And then they thought that, okay, React works well for them. Now, is it clear? What do I mean when I say that you have to choose appropriate technology? So this example I gave in terms of the software that you have, all right? But you can do this, decision making in terms of hardware also. That what kind of hardware do you want? What kind of cloud do you want? What should be the size of your, what should be the capacity of your server? How many requests are you anticipating to your server? Okay, because depending upon that, your capacity is going to be, all right? Now define the interface. Okay, interface is just a layer using which communication can happen. Okay, so you're going to create your API. Okay, any system that is there, a server that is there, whatever, they have got their API. Like you guys were talking, right? That can we use UPI's API to integrate in any app? Yes. So establish your APIs. What are your APIs going to be look like? What is the protocol that your system is going to use, right? And the data formats. How is the data going to be formatted between two components? So say your system is having one component, one component, two. Let's take it in terms of UPI only. Okay. So what is this component? This component is the transaction component. And this component is the history component. Okay. So on Google Pay, say you open the window for a person. Okay, there's a person. 1, 2, 3, 4. You open the window. Here is an option where you can enter the amount, and here is the button to pay, right? Over here, do you see your previous transactions? We see a previous transaction, right? When you see your previous transaction, do you also see a date on top of it? Right? Now say this is my transaction component, okay? The transaction component is getting this data from the history component, right? So transaction component is telling history component, give date, okay? And history component is returning date. It's like, okay, take the date. Now assume the transaction component accepts or expects that the date will be in DD, MM, YY format. But history component over here sends date in the European format. So they will send MM, DD, YY. Do you think it's going to be a problem? Do you think it's going to be a problem? Right. It is going to be a problem, right? It is a very big problem. Because over here, your transaction, maybe over here, it will show you, say, let's say, maybe it can show, I'm not able to come up with a very improper date, but say it show, so you are accepting the date like this, okay? You want it like this. So maybe, but it is sending like this. So when you're expecting this format, you could have something like 02 and 28 2023, something like this. So, and then your entire system is going to break, because you would be having that if it sends 1, return January. If it sends 2, return February, 3, March, so on, right? There is no month for 28. There's no 28th month. And the system is going to break, right? But if you do system design, so this is one important thing that you talk about, like you decide upon the interfaces that you would be having, right? Sorry, not interfaces. Yeah, actually, that can come under interface, that can come under your data model, whatever, okay? That what data is going to be there, in what format the data is going to flow, okay? Similarly, you have to design the data model. When I say that you have to design the data model, okay, what basically it means is that let's say UPI only. When I say that you have to design your database schema, so what it means is that every data that is there, that's going to be saved in your database, all right? So over here, you need to design this thing, that what are the things that you're going to save. Okay, so say I want to save user's phone number, okay? I want to save first name. I want to store last name. I want to store bank accounts and so on, right? So this thing is called schema of the database. Basically, database, think of it like a table, okay? Database is not necessarily always tabular, okay? It can be relational, non-relational, but for simplicity, let's consider it as tabular. And then basically you need to identify what are the columns going to be there in your database, okay? What all data you're going to store. You have to create that data model, okay? Then consider scalability and performance. That is a very important thing, okay? Address load balancing, caching, database optimization. So see, scalability and performance is very important when you are building a big application, okay? Or see, you're building a small application, but it can be big, right? This is what happened with Netflix long back. So Netflix was a small application. It had few users. Everything was good. It was a happy flow. Suddenly, around 2005 to 2007, Netflix tremendously got viral. Okay, let's call it viral, and it saw a lot of users. Okay, it suddenly started facing a lot of user footfalls on the app. And what happened? Netflix crashed. Okay, Netflix server was not ready to. The entire system of Netflix was not ready to handle this much. Okay, they did not maybe think about the scalability. What is scalability? That if you have got more requirement, can your system scale up? Can maybe spawn different pods and scale up accordingly? If there's less requirement, can it scale down, and all of that? Okay, so maybe Netflix did not think about it. Okay, they did not anticipate that, and entire Netflix crashed for, I don't remember how many days, but it crashed for a couple of days. It was down for a couple of days, and because of that, there was tremendous loss for Netflix. Okay, and after that, they did one thing. I'll talk about that. But for the folks who have used Netflix, have you seen Netflix being down lately? Have you ever seen Netflix being down? Like the server of Netflix is not working, anything like that? Have you seen that? Right. No, all of us have not seen that, right? Because after that crash, what happened? Netflix moved to AWS, okay, Amazon Web Services. So initially, Netflix managed its own environment, its own servers, and then it moved to AWS. It asked Amazon to manage its deployment, to manage its server and the entire application, okay? And yeah, so then we never saw a downfall, okay? But yeah, of course, that is one thing that you can ask third parties like AWS, GCP, Azure to manage things, but still they won't be doing 100%. There are few scalability and performance things that you still need to do on your system. Say you have created an app, and using that app, you're searching for something. And when you search, it is, say your app requires 15 seconds to get search result. That is a very, very bad time, right? Nobody is going to use your search if your search takes 15 seconds to give answers. So when you're designing the system, you need to take care of this, that how is the system going to scale? Okay, how is your system going to perform? And how can you make it more performant? Okay. The next thing is there, testing and validating the design. Once you have created a system, it's very important that you test it, okay, before launching it to the public, before giving it to people. All right, it's imperative that you test it. That is that is the next step that you follow with system design. And the last step is that once you have designed the system, everything is good, everything is working, you deploy the system. Okay, deploy, like if it is a cloud application, you will be deploying it somewhere in the cloud, right? You deploy it and you maintain it, right? Whatever bugs are being there, you maintain. And that this is how entire system is designed. This is how we do it at enterprise. Flow clear, folks? Okay. Now, when we talk about system design, there are two elements of system design. Okay, high level system design and low level system design. So high level system design is mostly like, a bigger picture of it. Okay, it won't be that detailed. So for example, let's say you are in a flight, okay, and here is the land. Your flight is, again, sorry for my bad drawing. I don't know, it looks like a person flying or something. I don't know, whatever it is, okay, it is a flight. And the height over here is, say, X meter. Okay. From this height, if you're seeing the buildings over here, or if you're seeing the landscape below, you're just going to see patches, right? You're just seeing these squares. That is how you see, right, from a height. But say now the plane has descended, okay? The same plane looking like a flying human has descended down. And now there is the distance is only, say, X by 60 meter. So now you will see more details, right? You will see, oh, okay, there was a road over here, and there was a green lawn kind of thing over here. There was a lake over here. There's a house over here, right? From that top, you just see the colors. You're not able to identify what it is, right? But when you come down, you see more granular things. You see more detailed things, okay? This is what is high level system design. And this is what is low level system design, okay? Basically, high level system design means designing the bigger component of the system, okay? Or how the system is going to look at on a whole. So for example, we say this UI, okay? Sorry, UPI. So in high level system design, we can identify that there could be a component that will take care of history. There could be another component that can take care of bank account details. Okay. There could be another component that can take care of transaction. There could be a component that can take care of authorization, right? There should be authorization and authentication mechanism, right? I cannot log into Google Pay and transfer money from your account to your friend's account. I cannot do that, right? I'm not giving you all the components, but roughly, okay, some components. So in high level design, we identify that, okay, what all our components are going to be. In low level design, we are going to see that, okay, how components are going to talk to each other, and what algorithm is each component going to use, how is each component going to be implemented, okay? Now, this is I'm not going by the definition of whatever is written over here. This PPT will be shared with you. Do not copy whatever is written over here. You can read it on your own, okay? But I just want to tell you the concept, okay? So high level system design is defining the system's main component or modules. Low level is designing the internal structure, okay? And see, in high level system design, you identify the relationship dependency, that what are the different components, how are they going to be dependent on each other. But in low level system design, you identify that, okay, what is the data structure that you're going to use? What is, so for example, these transaction, okay? So maybe you decide that you're going to go ahead with Q, okay? Q is a data structure. So you decided, okay, you're going to go ahead with Q or whatever, okay? So, and in Google Pay, if you remember, there was a scratch card thing, right? So the latest scratch card would come on top and the oldest scratch card would come in the end, right? So then you say that, okay, for this section, I'm going to use the stack data structure, all right? So all of these things are done when you do a low-level system design. But the general idea is first you do a high-level system design and then you do a low-level system design, okay? For a robust system, never do it the other way, that low level system design first and high level system design later. Okay. So this is what is high level system design, low level system design. Clear, everybody? What is the difference? Both are the design of the same system, but low level system design is more detailed. Okay. It is more concentrated, and it is like it has got more information. Okay. Now, let's start with the design principles of UPI. Okay. Whatever design principle, like whatever system that you're designing, okay, say you go to an interview and then they say that, design a system. The first thing is, of course, after understanding that what the actual requirement is, the first thing is to list down the functional requirements and non-functional requirements. Okay. So what are functional requirements? Functional requirements are some features that your app should definitely have. Okay. So for UPI, there should be definitely an option to transfer money. Okay. That is a function. There should be an option to see when you have transferred what. Okay. There should be an option to that. There should be an option to add bank account details, right? There should be an option to block a person. Not option, but a feature, right? There should be a feature for self-transfer, that from your one bank account, you could transfer to another bank account. There can be a feature to update the UPI ID, right? I'm just talking about some features that are coming from the top of my mind. But there are some features that you need, okay, in your app. All of that comes under functional requirement, okay? So see, what are the functional requirements? That the user should be able to register the bank account with the UPI system. Users should be able to initiate fund transfers between bank accounts using UPI. A transaction history feature that allows users to view their past UPI transaction. Support the generation and scanning of QR codes for seamless payment initiation, and facilitate bill payments and all of that. Okay, so these are some of the features. Okay, this is the functional requirement. Now let's talk about the non-functional requirement. So non-functional requirements are the requirement which the user has not given you. Okay, so say you're building UPI for somebody, they will tell you that, okay, I need these requirements, okay, but there are some things that they will not tell. And those are the non-functional requirements, okay? Things like your system should be up, right? It should be reliable. It should be there. Aisa nahi hota, like it shouldn't be like this, that your system crashes very often, okay? Your system should be stable. That is not a functional requirement. They're not telling that your system should be there, okay? But you need to understand that, yes, your system has to be robust. It has to be highly available, okay? Another thing that they can say is that because this is related to money, so your system should be secure, right? And yeah, mostly it is like this, right? And your system should be fast. The performance metrics should be good, okay? So these are some non-functional requirements. So summarizing, functional requirements in very basic level is that if a customer is asking you to develop a system, they will tell you that I need these features, okay? All of that comes under functional requirements. The features that the user is not telling you, that will come under the non-functional requirements, okay? The things that needs to be there, right? So for example, when you call somebody and you call a baker and you order a cake, okay? So you will say that, okay, I need a 1 pound cake of strawberry flavor, okay? And you have to write happy birthday on top of that, okay? So in my functional requirement, what did I have? That the cake needs to be of 1 pound. It has to be of the strawberry flavor. And happy birthday needs to be written. Okay, this is the functional requirement. But what are the non-functional requirements? Can anybody guess? What are some non-functional requirements? Any guesses? What are some non-functional requirements when you're ordering a cake? Correct. Okay. The shape should be even, right? Even shape. Yeah. What else? Can I say that it should be fresh? Right? It should come in a box. these are some, common sense things that should be there. You'll never order a cake, you'll call a baker and send that, hey, make this cake with all this specification and please send it in a box. Because the key, that is an unsaid thing, right? That is an unsaid taken thing that it needs to be there. Similarly, the non-functional requirement is also that, okay, that the customer will not tell you that I want this, but it needs to be there for your system to work. Okay. Clear about functional, non-functional, what is the difference? Okay, let's proceed. So now let us see a very high level system design of UPI, okay, how UPI works. So if you can see my screen over here, so first this mobile on the left-hand side, this is that of the person who is initiating a fund transfer, okay. So what do they do is that first when you initiate a fund transfer, payers PSP is called, okay. PSP is nothing but payment system, okay, the entire payment system platform which is there. So this person, say you are doing a transaction, so your PSP is going to be called the payment PSP, okay, who takes care of this transaction. Now what is going to happen is that a payment request is going to go to the UPI interface which is there, okay. The moment the payment request goes, so the person to whom you're trying to send, okay, there will be some authentication details, right? Like there will be some authentication which will be required. Say you just added a mobile number which does not exist. Will you be able to send it to that pay? You added a random mobile number which does not exist. Will you be able to transfer money to that pay? No, right? So once you have sent the request, see over here, once you have sent the request to the UPI interface, not interface, but to UPI that you want to transfer. So then that verification is done that, whichever is the payment service of the payee, the UPI is going to talk to that, say the payee or the beneficiary is of HDFC Bank. Okay, so they'll contact the PSP of HDFC Bank. They will say that, okay, do you have account like this with yours? Okay. And then they say that, yes, it is there. Okay. So authorization was successful. It was done. Then what happens is that from the remitter's bank, okay, remitter is the person who is giving the money. From that person's bank, amount is debited, right? And the response is sent to the UPI that, yes, amount has been debited. Okay. Now, once the amount has been debited, the beneficiary's bank gets the credit, right? The money gets credited in the beneficiary's bank. And then UPI gets a confirmation that, yes, amount has been credited. Now, once the amount has been credited and UPI has got the confirmation, now UPI will tell the payment service of the payee's bank again that, the transaction was confirmed, okay, and is it good from your side? So they will say, yes, this is good from my side. They will confirm it back. And this is how the entire transaction works, okay. A lot of times you would be seeing that money got debited from your account, but it did not get credited to the payee's account, okay. In that case, what happens? Money gets transferred back to you, right? How does UPI know that money needs to get transferred back to you? Because they never received this response. The response, this 7, which is written over here, right? This response was never received. The credit response was never received. And the money which was there, they understood that, okay, the credit response was not received, which means the credit did not happen in the beneficiary's account, which means the transaction was not successful, and hence the money is given back to you. Clear, guys? The high level design is clear? Okay. Now let's see the low level design. Okay. As you can see, the low level design is slightly more detailed. It might look complicated, but do not worry. We will discuss each and every component that it has. Okay. The first component is the interface that you're having, the UPI interface. Okay. Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, whatever you're having, right? From there, you send a request. Now, there is a concept of load balancer. What is a load balancer? Let me tell you. So say a system that you create, okay? So do you think that this Google Pay, Phone Pay, whatever is there, they would only be having one server? Do you think? all the data, do you think would be processed by only one single server? No, right? They have multiple servers. Now there's a system of distributed server, right? There are a lot of servers. And before, so this is the client, okay? This is the client who is sending the request. So before the request goes to the server, it goes through a load balancer. So load over here, think of it like the request, okay? Load is the request that is going to the server. Now what it does is that, say 1,000 requests are coming, okay? So what will it do? Or let's say 3,000 requests are coming. So what this load balancer is going to do, it is going to evenly distribute the load among the n number of servers that you're having. So if you have load balancer, so what it will do, that 1K requests are going to go over here, another 1K requests are going to go over here, and another 1K requests are going to go over here, okay? Alternatively, if you did not have load balancer, maybe all the requests would be going to server 1, okay? Or you couldn't make sure the uniform distribution of requests, right? So this is not the only functionality of load balancer, but as a beginner, this is like good to know, okay? Like this is enough for you to know. So once you initiate any payment, okay, from any interface, the request doesn't directly go to the application's server, okay? It will go to the load balancer. Now, what load balancer is going to do is that it is going to divide the request, okay? It's going to balance all that load and it is going to send to the application layer or to the servers, okay? Now, you have two types of server in such system. There is a financial server, there is a non-financial server, okay? So for example, let's take this thing. All of these things, okay? This green thing that you're seeing, this is non-financial, right? All the yellow transactions, all the yellow things that you're seeing, that is financial. So for example, over here, if you're doing any transaction, okay, so when an amount is debited from your account, that is a financial thing, right? Which will be handled by a financial server. When amount is credited, that is that needs to be handled by financial server. But when you're seeing things like when you're logging the transaction, that does not require a financial server. When you're checking if the user is valid or not, that does not require a financial server, okay? So there are two types of servers which are involved with any UPI design: financial server and non-financial server, okay? So financial server takes care of the finance related aspect of the entire system, and non-financial server takes care of the other aspects, like, getting confirmation, putting it in the transaction, having the history set, making sure that the requests are authorized, authenticated, and all of that, okay? Clear till here? Okay. Now, all of this goes to a Redis cluster, okay? Redis is, think of it like a cloud-oriented kind of cache, okay? You cannot exactly call it like a cache, but think of it like this. All of that goes to a Redis cluster, as well as it goes to a messaging queue. Over here, they're using Kafka messaging queue. So Kafka is a technology, okay? So for example, you have React, right? You have Angular, you have HTML, you have CSS. Similarly, there's Kafka. Messaging queue is the concept, okay? So say you are doing one transaction, but there are so many people who are doing so many transactions, okay? All of them are considered messages, okay? All of them are considered messages. So for example, this is the database of Google, okay? Database of Google Pay, DB of GPay, okay? It is having date, time, sender, receiver, amount, okay? So once this sender A sent some money to sender B. Yeah, Jayesh, there would be transaction ID. Actually, there will be a lot more things, okay? I'm just trying to simplify it. So basically, just think whatever your database would be having, okay? So they sent, this was success. Just a second. Okay. Yeah, so this person sent, this transaction was successful. there was this another person C who sent it to D, and this transaction was also successful. There was this another, and all of these transactions are happening, a lot of these, okay? All of this is called as message, okay? All of this is stored in a queue, which is called messaging queue, okay? Queue in computer science is a concept, it is a data structure, which is exactly same as the queue that we see in our life, in a real life, right? Queue in outside of a movie theater, right? Similar. That the person who has come there first is going to be served first, right? So once the transaction is done, everything is done, all of that, all of that comes over here in the messaging queue of Kafka. Okay, all those messages are stored. One by one, the message which has come first is processed by a DB processor and it is stored in the DB, right? They are using Cassandra DB. There are different types of DBs, okay, which can be used, but UPIs are using Cassandra DB. That is stored in the Cassandra DB, right? Because say 3 months later, when you open your UPI app, you would still want your transactions, right? You would still want to see what all transactions you have done. How do you see that? Because all of that data is persisted over here in the DB. Now, insertion, deletion, all of that cannot be done simultaneously on all the rows, okay? That's why we have a messaging queue that can help you with all of this, okay? So there's messaging queue. So once the transaction is done, it's updated in your cache. It is updated to the messaging queue. The messaging queue gives it to the DB processor. DB processes that entire message and it saves it, in your DB, okay? Whatever DB you would be having. And also, this messaging queue informs the payee, okay, the person who is getting the money, that hey, this thing has been credited, okay? So for example, there are 1 million requests which are happening per day, okay? So all of the requests cannot be served together, right? All the users, 1 million receivers cannot get the notification together. So a queue is maintained that, you know, this person sent first, this person sent next, and then so on. And accordingly, those messages are processed and the information is sent to the person who, you know, got it credited. So this is the low level system design. We can go lower than this, okay? It can be more detailed, but it would be too overwhelming for you considering that you guys are just starting. So this is a good low level system design for you guys, okay? I hope it is clear what is high level system design, low level system design. Okay, the final thing is there that let's talk about the technologies which are being used by UPI, okay? So it uses React, Spring Boot, Nginx, Kafka, Amazon S3, Redis, Cassandra, NoSQL, okay? I'm not going to go into details of each of these technologies. It will be a homework that you go ahead, read about what is this technology used for, okay? What are they using it for, okay? Clear, folks? Now we are going to have a quiz, okay? So just give me a second. I'm going to just set it up. Meanwhile, if you guys have any question, please feel free to post over here. I'll just, yeah, guys, can all of you go to kahoot.it? Let me write it over here in the chat. Please go to kahoot.it, everybody. Please let me know once you have reached Kahoot. All you have to do is that go to a browser on your mobile or your web, whatever it is. Go to kahoot.it. Yes, I'll be sharing the game pin. Just a second. Let me share the correct screen. Yeah. This is the game pin. If you can see my screen, 7300281. All of you go to kahoot.it and enter this game pin over there. Quickly, guys, we'll wait for a minute and then we'll begin the quiz. Please do not miss the quiz. It's going to be fun. Sukriti, you have to go to kahoot.it, as I mentioned. I don't know why my speaker is behaving weird. Just a second, let me turn off the music maybe. Yeah, I guess it's better now. Yeah. Sukriti, you have to go to kahoot.it and enter this game pin. Yeah, the AlmaBetter team will be sharing the feedback link. I hope everybody has joined. Let's get started then. You have to be quick also, okay, because time is also an important thing over here. So you have to be correct and quick, okay? When designing the system, what aspect differentiates high-level design from low-level design? System implementation details, hardware specification, software development process, user interface design. What is the main difference between high-level and low-level system design? See, okay, only 4 people got it correct, but okay, no problem. Saidin, you just need to click on that answer, okay, which you think, the option that you think is the correct answer, and that will be logged, okay? Yes. So system design, system implementation detail is the difference, okay, between high level and low level system design. In high level system design, the system is not very detailed. In low level system design, it is much more detailed, right? So yeah, let's go to next question and let's see who answered it first. So this is how the leaderboard looks like. So congratulations, everybody. And you have still got some questions to back up, okay? UPI is built on which technology? Blockchain, immediate payment transfer, artificial intelligence, real-time gross settlement. I told you, like, if you remember, I told you in the beginning of this session that what does UPI use? Right. It is built on IMPS, right? It's immediately the payment is transferred the moment you send it. Okay. Now let's see this. How does the leaderboard look like? Okay, the first 2 positions are held strongly. We still have a couple of questions. Let's see. Which of the following is not, okay, is not a component of UI system architecture? PSP, stock exchange, acquirer bank, issuer bank. Please do not ignore not, okay, which is not a component. Quickly, only 10 seconds are remaining. This is time bound as well. Right. Very good. We got a lot of correct answers over here. Let's see the leaderboard. Wow, the leaderboard is like, I guess the first top 3 positions are pretty tight over here. Now, the second last question. This is the second last chance for you to climb up the ladder. Now, which of the following describes the primary role of a load balancer? handling server-side logic and processing, distributed incoming network traffic evenly across multiple servers, providing user authentication and authorization, storing data in a distributed manner. We spoke about load balancers. Five seconds remaining. Everybody? Right. Distributing, it balances the load, right? The incoming traffic is the load, it balances it across, whatever servers you would be having. So this is nice. The first position is held by Drishti, then Abhishek, then Bhuvan. Very good, guys. Now, the final chance for you to come up the ladder. Here is the question. You have to be very, very quick. Okay. Which organization developed UPI? SEBI, RPI, NPCI, IBA. Remember, we spoke about it when we were talking about the entire timeline of UPI. Okay. So let's see the final leaderboard. On third position, we have Bhuvan. Second position, we have Abhishek. And first position, yeah, we have Drishti. Congratulations, all three of you, and Sagar, and I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the complete name. I guess it's Ashwin. These are the runner-ups, and yeah, congratulations, everybody. This is what I had to share for this session. I hope you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed the session. Now over to you, over to the AlmaBetter team now.
Thank you, Soumya, for the amazing session, and congratulations, guys. Hello.
Yes, Priyanka, we can hear you. We can continue the session.
Okay, so just let me share my screen. Yeah. So basically, I guess like everybody have enjoyed the session well. Now the thing is like how we can opt for the entire process. Like everyone is very much aware about AlmaBetter, right? Yeah. So how AlmaBetter is basically going to help you out? Like here, you will definitely get an opportunity, like to complete your goals and all, and like through the curriculum. The curriculum over here has been designed in such a way that it's going to cover all the topics. You are going to get the live classes, and yeah, there will be like access to the recorded lectures, and that to lifetime. 20 plus capstone projects will be there, which will be helping with 1,000 plus coding problems and assessments. You will be having weekly doubt resolutions. Along with that, the best thing is one-on-one mentorship session. Yeah. Now, during the like Almax program, we do have 50 plus mock interviews with dedicated career coaching. And yes, last but not the least, that is 100% job guaranteed with 500 plus hiring partners. Yes, so what is actually the path to success, right? So basically, guys, what you need to do is you need to sign up yourself through a registered mail ID, and after that, like, you can get yourself enrolled. Now, when you are basically into the program, like when you are enrolled with us, it will be a 6 months journey where you will be exposed to this top-notch curriculum. You'll be finishing your learning, you will get certified one by one simultaneously when you will be covering each modules. At the end, where the entire course will be completed, you will be getting your like chance to move ahead into Alma X. So there the time comes where you people will be asked to sign the ISA. Now, what is this ISA? Mark my words, it's income share agreement, basically. And once you sign the ISA, at initial steps, whatever the fee or the registration charges which you people have provided, that gets refunded back to you. Now into AlmaX, it is nothing else but it's our placement service. What happens basically in AlmaX, like our expertise panelists, they will help you to get through, the mock interviews where they'll be helping you, like how to clear the technical and non-technical rounds. Other than that, they will be working on your resume. They will be helping you, to develop your communication skills, your personality skill enhancement, and all. And apart from that, like side by side, the real-time industrial interviews will start happening. And basically, this is actually the key to success where you will be landing to your dream job. Now, how the learning activities will be. So, like here, it can be shown that for technical skills, you will be having your live lectures, you'll be having your projects, your assignments, group discussions. Now, coming to the industry exposure, like there is a chance where you can even have one-on-one mentorship with our educators who are like from the bank companies itself. There are guest lectures, AMA sessions, as well as the community participation. Now, what is actually the eligibility or what is the mandatory factor for Alma X? So basically two things to which we need to, focus. That is, number one, completing your capstone projects with 75% into it, and completing the competency challenges with 75%. Anybody having any questions so far? Oh, it's not really necessary, Jesh. It's not really necessary to have a technical degree. Just the minimum thing which is required is you need to be a graduate, or even a final year graduation student can also apply for the program. BA in psychology. Yeah, you can. You can. Because here, the way we will be preparing you, that will be right from the grassroots level. So you'll be starting right from the basics. Yeah, system design you will be getting when you will be covering the modules. Like within the module, you could like check into the website itself. We have incorporated it. Yeah, sure. The PDF will be shared with you people. Definitely not, Jesh. We need to make sure that in which year you completed your degree. The main thing is that passing year matters. You can definitely connect to us with a more detail so that we can have a proper analysis about your candidature. Well, so these are some of our hiring partners, as you can see. Talking about the placement statistics and salary distribution, as you can see that in a particular cohort, like the average pay package which the freshers are receiving, that means 37% of the students, they are receiving an average salary bracket of 8 to 9 LPA, right? And like rest after that 29% goes to 7 to 8 LPA. Out of that, I would like to highlight even that 3% of the entire student strength, they are even receiving more than 10 LPA, right? So mainly what it depends is upon your intent, upon like how well you are giving your best into this program, how better you are performing. Definitely there are students who are even achieving in the competency test like 97%, 98% like this. So if you are consistent in your effort, if you are maintaining such a good track record, definitely the outcome is very much promised. And if you people are ready to give your 100%, we assure that we will be there to give 200% support as well as that platform from our end. Yeah, the basic registration fee, as you can see in the website, is given like 29,999. That is for the initial registration, and the overall course fee that has been given 2,40,000. These are our instructors and mentors. Today, you people already had a session with Soumya Mishra. She is from Microsoft. Apart from that, Avinav Litkar is there. He is a senior data scientist from Swiggy. Mridul Jain is a manager and data science from Abirev. Sujit Pandey, he is tech services specialist from IBM. Subham Mahapatra, he is a manager and analytics from Dream 11. Yep. So these are the people who have set some benchmarks, like our alumni to be spoken. Akash, I believe like if you understand English, right, and you are already working in bank, so need to know that how many overall years of experience you have, right? And in which year you have completed your degrees and all. We need much more, precise information regarding your candidature. But if you understand English, definitely you can join the course. Yeah, everyone, most of the people, we do understand some of the linguistic barriers, but for that we have, in our AlmaX program, there are like sessions where we will be working on your, communication skills and personality development, as I mentioned. Any other question? Any other queries?
Guys, if you have any doubts related to the course, you can mention them in the chat window. Priyanka will answer all your questions. Guys, that's it for this session. I hope you all like this session. And if you have any doubts now, just fill this Google form. All your doubts will be solved. AlmaBetter team will connect with you guys and they will solve all your issues. Just fill this Google form. And thank you for joining this session, guys. We hope you really liked this session. I'll convey all your messages to Soumya ma'am. And thank you guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.